Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. It is about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I feel led to share a parable with you. It's not a parable that you'll find in the Bible, but at the end of this, you'll know exactly what I'm speaking about. In Philippians 2:12, the Apostle Paul tells us to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Work out our own salvation. Unfortunately, what many people do nowadays is they put their own salvation in the hands of another, typically a pastor. And the parable is such. It is about being at a bus stop. Even if you don't take a bus routinely, if you go to a bus stop, you can tell where a bus is going based on the sign on the outside. There have been cases where a person, in a sense, has gotten on the bus where on the outside it said heaven, which meant the bus driver should be taking you to heaven. But by the grace of God, you realize after a while that even though the outside said heaven, the bus driver was taking you to hell, so you got off. But the parable I want to share with you is this one. You're at a bus stop. You see a bus coming towards you. On the outside, it says hell. You want to go to heaven. So you say, I'm not getting on that bus. But the bus pulls up, the driver opens the door, invites you on, and you say no, because you're going to hell and I want to go to heaven. But the bus driver tells you, no, ignore the sign. I'm actually going to heaven. Come on. You get the check from the Holy Spirit that tells you, don't get on. But you go anyhow. At first, things seem comfortable, and what the bus driver told you seems plausible. It seems as if you may be going to heaven. But you start driving, or the bus driver closes the door, starts driving, and it starts getting hotter because the bus driver can only take you where he or she is going. And the heat is one of those signs from the Lord letting you know that the outside says hell, and even though the bus driver said heaven, it's getting hotter because the bus driver is in fact taking you to hell. If you were to get on a bus and you realize that you got on and it's a wrong bus, more than likely you're going to get off at the very next stop. But in this case, you keep giving the bus driver a chance saying, it's going to get better. And even though things keep getting worse, you keep saying, it's going to get better. We're going to turn around and this bus is going to end up going to heaven. But all the signs you're passing along the way are saying, nope, the outside says hell, the bus driver says heaven, but you're going closer and closer to hell. There may have been times when the Lord will send a messenger who gets on that bus and then tells people, everyone needs to get off this bus because you're going to hell. And in some cases, the bus driver will stop the bus. Other people on the bus will help the bus driver remove that messenger and then tell you that that messenger was wrong or that messenger was of the devil. So you ignore that messenger, you listen to the bus driver, you stay on the bus. The bus keeps going, keeps getting hotter and hotter. You start making adjustments, trying to get comfortable in a situation, but you know something doesn't feel right. In the Bible, it talks about people's consciences becoming seared as with hot iron. One of the things that happens is that the longer you stay on the bus, the more adjustments you're going to make until you get comfortable being uncomfortable, until you don't realize it anymore. Now you keep on this bus where all these things are telling you that the bus driver is taking you to hell. In some cases, someone who's on the bus with you gets off at the next stop and says, you know what? This bus is actually going to hell. And you may even feel compelled to join the person and get off. And the bus driver will say, that person was unfaithful. And that's why that person's getting off. And bus driver may tell you, that person's actually on his way or her way to hell because he or she got off the bus. Something deep down inside, the Holy Spirit may be telling you, no, the person was right for getting off, and the bus driver is wrong. But the bus driver is charismatic, very persuasive, so you stay on the bus. You may end up falling asleep, and the Lord appears to you in a dream and tells you, get off this bus at the next stop. But the Lord doesn't give a lot of explanations. He simply gives instructions, and it's up to you to obey or not. You wake up from the dream, you feel shaken, and you tell the bus driver, I need to get off at the very next stop. But the bus driver will pull something out of the devil's playbook when you look in Genesis 3, what the devil did to Eve. And the bus driver may say, did God really say? Next thing you know, you start doubting if God really spoke to you. Back to Philippians 4 or 2:12, where it says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Your relationship with the Lord is no longer that direct access that Christ died to give to you. Your relationship with the Lord, in a sense, is coming from the bus driver. Almost like whatever the bus driver says, goes. Even if it contradicts what the Lord is speaking directly to you. So in some cases, you disregard the Lord's instructions, you stay on the bus. Even though the driver is taking you to hell. If you're on such a bus, you have to make the choice at some point in time. Are you going to obey God, or are you going to obey a person? One of the things I've learned is whenever we get into situations, at some point in time, we will realize that the Lord had been sending us signs as far as what He wanted us to do. And it's up to us whether we get off or stay on the bus. And if you're on such a bus and the bus driver is telling you that you must serve or you must follow before you can lead, especially if you're being called to ministry, at some point in time, you have to make the judgment call whether that bus driver, in a sense, is speaking on behalf of the Lord, or if the bus driver is serving his or her own interest. I caution you, if you're on that bus that is taking you to hell, get off. And sometimes you're on that bus and you will hear the bus driver telling other people when he or she stops at another bus stop, telling you the same thing, or telling them the same thing that he or she told you. But no, the sign on the outside says hell, but I'm actually going to heaven. And you'd think that if the bus driver was truly taking people to heaven, that he or she would at least change the sign on the outside to say heaven. But you see people getting on, going to hell. In some cases, if you stay on the bus long enough, you will start telling people, get on this bus, because even though the sign on the outside says hell, we're all going to heaven. And if you do that, one day you're going to find yourself actually in hell. And before you go there, you'll appear before Jesus. And He will let you know the amount of times that He told you to get off the bus, to stop telling people to get on the bus, but you did not listen to Him.